Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I know it's not Halloween. Alright, that's long past. But when it came to my Halloween videos, I ran out of time and I couldn't upload everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm uploading them past Halloween. But if you stop and look at it like this, at some point in time, it's gonna be Halloween time again, October. So somebody eventually will stumble upon my videos and watch it around Halloween time. So yeah, and I'm here today to talk to you about Abigail, the 2024 horror movie directed by that of Radio Silence. I wish I could have put this video out before, around like Halloween time, but you know, it is what it is, 'cause I just now saw it. Finally, I've been wanting to see this movie forever, man. I mean, forever. I knew it was on Peacock for the longest time, but I just never got Peacock until just like recently. And then they took it off Peacock, and it was like the #1 movie on Peacock. Why would they take it off? So I finally got Amazon Prime, which I was able to now watch. Oh my God, dude. When I said I've been wanting to watch this movie for the longest time, I mean, I've been wanting to watch this movie like forever. It was so much fun. It was a new, fresh take on like a vampire trope. Because, you know, vampire movies have been done to death, and you have to kind of like reinvent them to like make them more interesting, you know? And this one truly reinvented that genre by making it this weird, quirky thing where a little vampire girl lures like a bunch of like people to like her mansion just so she can kill them all one by one, and doing it in a ballerina type fashion. It's one of those things that, you know, you would probably expect to see in the early 2000s or something like that. And, you know, this movie came in second at the box office, right? And, like, it started to dip in, like, fifth place week after week. One of the biggest problems with this movie is that the freaking twist is revealed in the trailer. Still to this day, I am pissed about that. It's one of those things that like you can't reveal everything, and they revealed the major twist in the trailer because it's like, okay, when you see the trailer, first you assume it's a group of criminals who kidnapped this rich little girl for ransom. That's all they had to do. That's all they had to show. But then it got revealed, oh wait, she's the vampire and everything. So now she's the one hunting them down. And I get it. If they didn't reveal that, probably a bunch of like vampire horror loving people probably would have never seen this movie. But, you know, they could have really kept it to where it's just a bunch of people kidnapping this rich girl, and then all of a sudden they're trapped in the mansion, and like people are dying one by one because they found out who her rich father is, this mafia type dude, and somebody snuck into the house and killed them one by one. That is how the trailer should have been cut from, like, you know, the stuff that's like in the movie. They could have kept the vampire stuff out. But like I said before, if they didn't, then people probably would have never seen it. The movie had a budget of $28 million, but made $42.9 million in the box office. And it was originally supposed to be tied to, what's that thing called? The Monster Universe. Because the father was originally supposed to be Dracula. And this was actually supposed to be based on Dracula's daughter, when did that movie come out? 1936. That's a long time ago. And basically, it's an American movie about Dracula's daughter who thinks that she gets rid of her dad, then she'll like become normal or something like that. And it's like a psychiatrist, and I've never seen it. So originally that was the thing, you know what I'm saying? And so Radio Silence, they was making Scream 5 and Scream 6. I still can't believe they made Scream 5 as crappy as they did. Anyway, but I like Scream 6 for the most part. It's just a little at times. But anyway, so like they had to delay the movie until they got done with the whole Scream thing, you know what I'm saying? And then so after a while they started to realize, you know what, let's not tie this into Dracula, not let's not tie this into the monster universe because Tom Cruise Mummy movie from 2017 flopped. And so they just wanted to distance themselves from that. So they came up with this unique premise, and I like this premise a whole lot more. It's a movie that's supposed to be a horror movie, but because I already knew there's a vampire, I just kept thinking to myself, okay, when is she gonna reveal herself? When is she gonna reveal herself? And there were moments, but I was never scared watching this movie, you know what I'm saying? It was more like adventurous and more like what's gonna happen next, like a thrill ride, you know what I'm saying? Because there are twists and turns towards like, the end of the movie, because mostly just one bad guy turning on another bad guy, then betraying that bad guy to turn on the next bad guy. And so you never knew who you could really trust in this movie. And the ending, while funny and everything, is just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like you don't want to go that sympathetic route. And that's kind of what they did. Because this vampire girl, she has daddy issues and stuff, you know? And she's like a century-year old, but she's posing as like a 12-year-old girl. And it's just kind of like, dude, you're like a century-year old, and it's like you're still acting like a 12-year-old, and it's like you still got daddy issues and stuff. It's one of those things I wish they would have fleshed out better in the writing, but sadly they didn't. And so like the movie's not perfect, but it's good and it's enjoyable, and you'll have a great time watching it and stuff. There is action in it, but thank God it didn't go like that Blade Buffy route, which they did try to do at one point with the main character. And I'm all like, please cut that out. Please don't do that. But thankfully, it didn't last that long. Like, she put her hands up and she threw like a punch, but nothing really delivered. So like, thank God they didn't do that, because I did not want this to be no martial arts type, like, action movie and stuff. I wish it was a bit more suspenseful, but like I said before, they ruined that in the marketing and stuff. So it's kind of like if this would have been like this movie reminds me of so much. It reminds me of like your typical vampire movie. Um, Also, like, those movies where you put a bunch of people in a house and people start dying one by one and you're wondering who the killer is. That is how this movie should have been. Like, even the vampire reveal in the movie probably should have been more towards like the middle-ish type end, because like you have these group of people in the house. They kidnap this girl who's a ballerina, and they're hoping to ransom her off for $50 million. And they each get that, like, each, you know what I'm saying? And then when people start dying one by one, it's kind of like, okay, which one of y'all are doing it? And people can't trust it. People see, that's that paranoia. I can't talk right now, it's cold. My lips ain't working right now. Paranoia. And so, like, that would have been like a good psychological thriller. Then it been revealed that, hey, it's a vampire the entire time. And so then they're like freaking out, and then it becomes like a horror thing. That's how I would have made like the movie and stuff. Because it's a group of people and they don't know who each other are. They're using like code names, and they're assuming this person's this and this person's that, but they don't know the first thing about them people. except for the main character played by Melissa Barrera, who plays Joey slash Anna. They made her a little too perfect in this movie to where like she's able to just like watch people mannerisms and read them like a book, and she's good at like medical stuff because she was a medic in the army, and like but then she has a flaw of her being a bad mother and a drug addict and everything, and but she's still able to fight vampires off at the end because it was like at one point, like I said before, they was doing the Buffy Blade thing, and it's like, dude, how are you able to fight a vampire and he's like super strong? And so, like, I get it, you was in the army, but you ain't no Buffy Blade. So they did try to overpower her character a bit too much and everything. And it just came off as unrealistic because even the dude who was like an enforcer for the mob, even he couldn't fight the vampires off. And it's like, how the heck is she able to? And she's half his size. But she is the lead, and of course, Melissa worked on those two Scream movies that Radio Silence did. This movie also averts your expectations a little bit because who you think the main villain is technically is a villain, but not the real villain. And then you kind of suspect that this one guy at some point in time is just going to go crazy and start killing people. And that's what he does, especially after he turns into a vampire. So you kind of saw that coming a mile away, and I wish they didn't make it that obvious and everything. Also, with like the main character, the main vampire character girl, Abigail, it's like I would have got rid of the whole father thing, you know what I'm saying? Because she's not even really a little girl, she's literally a century old and everything. So I would have had it to where because they do have it to where she's the one who lured them there. But it's really the reason why she did it is because even though she has daddy issues and everything, you know what I'm saying? Because he's a neglectful father, but it's like if you screw with his business, she will get revenge on you, and she gets revenge on a lot of people. And so it's kind of like just take out the daddy thing and just make it to where she's a century old vampire with the appearance of a 12-year-old girl because she got bit at 12 years old. So that's why she looks that way because she doesn't age. And just make her the head of the mafia type thing and be like, oh, you screwed my business? Well, I'm gonna like eat you and everything. And just keep it like that. They didn't really have to add the daddy thing in there because once they do, the dad does appear. It's you think he's gonna be evil, but then he like lets the main character go, and it's just kind of like, well, what was the point of that? Like you're supposed to be so bad and everything, and not only are you a mobster, but you're a vampire too, and you have a heart of gold apparently. So it's kind of like those little things kind of ruin it for me. You know what I'm saying? They should have just kept it dark, 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 and like twist after twist, and to where like it's a big battle, and you have to like kill off the vampires because the main character just lets the vampires like go, and it's just kind of like, dude, they're gonna be going around killing, biting, and eating people, and it's just kind of like, that's that quirkiness to it. So I just don't like that part, but yeah. Now, when it comes to the characters, you have Dean, played by Angus Cloud. May he rest in peace. He died way too young. That's why people have to get off those drugs, man. Like at 25 years old. And so he just plays a white ghetto guy who's like a getaway driver. And he's just kind of like, a goofball, hitting on an actual teenage girl and like kind of creepy kind of way, and like just kind of like rude and stuff like that. He's the first one to die by getting beheaded. Glencarlo Esposito, this dude's been in everything. I've seen this dude in so much. He's like the Italian Black Stallion, you know what I'm saying? Because he's like Afro-Italian. And so he plays Lambert. And he's the one who first lured them there by having them kidnap Abigail. And he doesn't tell them much of nothing, but he calls them his little rats. And so he locks them into the building, and apparently he's been there the whole time in the control room. So when, like, two of the characters, the final characters, make it there, he offers them, like, well, he offers the one dude, Frank, a deal. But Frank ends up betraying him after he turns into a vampire. Apparently, Lambert hates working for them, and he's giving like a backstory very quickly. They always tell, they never show the backstories, which is a big problem in Hollywood. You're supposed to show, you're not supposed to tell. And so apparently he worked for them, and then 2 years ago they turned him and they threatened to kill his family if he didn't work for them. So he's sick and tired of them and hoping the corrupt cop will help take them down. But the corrupt cop ends up killing him. It's kind of that twist on a twist you don't see coming, but it's kind of like it wasn't really handled like that well, you know what I'm saying? Will Cutlet, he plays that of Rickles. Don't know his real name. That's just the code name they gave him. He's a Marine sniper, and he's the second person to die. Yeah, yeah. Kill the black dude off real fast. That's so Hollywood for you. He seems to be on the up and up, and he seems to have a thing for Joey. But then, like I said before, Abigail just like completely like rips him like his neck area off like real fast where you don't even see it coming and stuff. Kevin Durant, he plays that Peter slash Terrence, and he's like a mob enforcer, always snapping necks. And he's kind of like, the idiot of the group and stuff like that. And like I've seen this dude in so many things, especially the vampire series, The Strain. He was in Swamp Thing. He was in what's that called? I think it's called Wu Assassin. He was in like that one slasher movie I just got through reviewing about the two girls from high school who like, was obsessed with social media and stuff like that and wanting to get caught. And the dude's been like in everything. And so basically, he's the type of person that where, okay, if you make a deal with him, he'll turn on you and stuff like that. And he's not very bright. But for some reason, he thinks he's best buddies with like Jessica and everything, and slash Sammy, and but he gets taken out by her because he like 'cause she turns into a vampire and stuff. Catherine Newton, she plays that of Sammy slash Jessica, and she's like this teenage like computer hacker who like comes from a family of wealth. And there's not really much about her character. She's the one who's always getting like scared the most because either she'll fall into like a pool full of dead bodies or like something like scary will happen to her and stuff like that. You don't really see her do her hacker skills that much, only in the beginning of the movie. She can't hack the like mansion to get out because like she's not in the control room and she doesn't have no electrical equipment. She didn't even try to like hotwire like normally in like hacker situations like this when you're trapped into a building, you'll see somebody rip cables off the wall, short circuit the electrical like wiring to like the door in the front and something like that. But you don't even have her do that. She's kind of like a useless hacker who just can't hack because she doesn't have no device, and she doesn't even get to the control room. Um, and so she just does it for like the thrills, even though she comes from like wealth and everything. But she stole from like the vampire family like money, so that's why they're after her. And like me, I love myself some Catherine Newton, boy. Like I love every role she's ever been in. I wasn't feeling this role. She doesn't play the alternative like hacker very well, which is crazy because she just came off from Lisa Frankenstein. So I would have thought like I wish she would have played it up like that, but she didn't. But she really should have. Now, I liked when, like, she got scared of stuff, or when she got turned into a vampire and had to do like the ballerina dance because she was mind controlled and stuff like that. That was a treat. So I'm glad she was able to bring what she always brings to like movies and stuff that makes me like her and everything. I forget this one actor's name. It's either Dan Stevens or Dan Strain or something like that, or Stan. He plays Frank slash Adam, the corrupt cop who, has looked the other way when it comes to like, that vampire family, but didn't really like know them like that well. He's your main true antagonist throughout the entire movie, but he does the best acting job throughout the entire movie. Like, he's like this like shady like cop type dude who's all in it for himself and willing to leave people. And so like when Lambert offers him like immortality to take out the vampire family, he takes it, but only to backstab like, Lambert and then try to kill everybody else in the movie. Like he is like a true villain and stuff, but he makes up for a lot of the good comedic stuff. And so it's kind of like I really wish they would have done flashbacks on everybody's backstory. Melissa Barrera, she plays that of Joey slash Anna, and she's a former like army medic who also has a drug problem and eats candy a lot. She can read you like a book. She knows hand to hand combat, and she's really good in medical stuff. She is our main protagonist and the only like human person to live despite getting bit by a vampire. But because the vampire who bit her died, like, she won't turn. Now I do like what they do with the vampires in here. You get different type of vampire tropes. Garlic does not affect them. A steak will. Getting shot by bullets does not. They can fly, but you only see somebody fly like once and very briefly. I wish they would have done that throughout the entire movie. Um, when sunlight does expose to them, they just explode, or if you stab them with a stake, they explode, and I like that. That's something you rarely see. Cause you seen the death where they shrivel up or turn like the fire and everything and stuff like that. But yeah. So throughout the entire movie, her character, because she abandoned pretty much her son and hasn't seen him, she holds that guilt in her heart. So she takes empathy on that of Abigail, feeling bad they had to kidnap her, and Pinky swears that she's not gonna let nobody hurt her. This is before she found out she's a vampire. Once she does find out, she tries to shoot her up, but it doesn't work and stuff. And like, so throughout the entire movie, she's like, trying to like fight for her life and defend herself. She's very tough. Like I said, they made her a little slightly too overpowered, just slightly and everything, because she doesn't seem like she's tough, but like her character comes off as that way. And so like in the end, when everybody like is dead and like what's that dude's name? Frank, tries to kill her. Her and Abigail make a truce to where 'cause Abigail is like wounded at this point because of Frank, and she's all like, "Look, we gotta fight him off together." So that's what they do, and so now they become like buds because Abigail, like, she really did apparently take that to heart when the whole pinky swear thing, even though she's not really a 12-year-old girl. So it's like, what does it matter? And so when the dad finally comes in, he's gonna kill like, Joey, but Abigail doesn't let him. And so she's the only survivor and she goes to try to like find her son and all this other stuff. And I kind of wish they didn't make her character out be too like all that heroic, like a little heroic. Like I wouldn't mind if it was kind of like, a old school horror movie where it's just this regular character, but they become the protagonist at the end only because they're the survivor, but not like, make them overly too powerful because you don't want to turn it into like a Buffy, like Blade type situation. I thought like Melissa did a pretty solid job. However, it's kind of like her acting was kind of like a little bland. Like, it was 50-50. That's what you get when you get with Melissa. Like I've said that before. In some like roles, like her acting's like horrible. In other roles, her acting's like really good. This one was just like it was just there. I wish she would have gave more like expression when she spoke, cause she just spoke, but there was like no expression. But like I said before, that's normally what happens when actresses have like really big eyes. It's like their face doesn't emote for some reason. And I've said this before with other actresses who have like big eyes too, like Aubrey Plaza or like that one girl from the Sweet Pea like television show. It's like their faces for whatever reason just don't move because like I don't know what it is because their eyes are like so huge and stuff. Matthew Good or Goody. He comes in the very end. He's the father, Christoph Lazar, and so he's like the mafia vampire dude, and he kind of has that old school Dracula look to him, and he's mentioned all throughout the movie. So it's kind of like, and the thing is, the human people are terrified of him because they don't know he's a vampire yet, but they've heard of his mafia type ways and knows that he's an extremely dangerous person. But then when you see him, he's not that dangerous. Like at first, he's gonna bite Joey, but then Abigail makes him stop, and then he just gives up and lets her go in this quirky kind of way. So it's kind of like, dude, throughout this entire movie, I thought you was like Voldemort, but then you're just like nobody. And I kind of wish they would have made him evil, but they just didn't. And that really just ruined it for me. And then you have Abigail herself, played by 15-year-old up and coming actress Alicia Weir. Give this girl her flowers now. And I mean now. Give her every award you can and give it to her now. She was nominated for an award for Best Supporting Actress in this movie, but didn't win. There's another one pending for this movie. Give her her award now. She was the second best actor in this entire movie. My God, at 15 years old, she worked her butt off. Her facial expressions was there, her dialogue was there, because she's Irish and spoke with an American accent, and you couldn't even tell. Not to mention, she did her own stunts. Her character's a ballerina dancer, and she had to learn ballet. I thought for sure she actually knew it ahead of time, but no, she had to learn it for like this movie and stuff. And she delivered. Like she tricked my eyes because I haven't seen much ballet dancing. It's not my favorite dancing, but I respect the crap out of it because the walk on your toes and everything. I mean, come on now. And to twist your legs the way you have to do. Come on now. And she did all of that. And the thing about her is that her fighting style, when she attacks you, she does it in this ballerina type dancing kind of way, which is weird and quirky altogether, but cool at the same time. And I really truly thought she knew ballet, but she learned it. Wow. They had to teach Catherine a little bit of it because see, she bites Catherine's character but she doesn't turn at first. But if okay, these are the two rules of this vampire movie. You can sire somebody the old-fashioned way. You bite them, they bite you, you drink their blood, you die, you turn into a vampire. They do show that with Frank and Lambert. But in the case of like Joey and Sammy, if you get bit, then your like vampire master can control you and you'll have like fangs and everything else. So she controlled like Sammy by making her do ballet dancing as well. You know, it kind of been cool if they would have made like a prequel movie to show like the vampire family and stuff. Because you gotta think about it. Like Abigail is a century old, but she's trapped in the body of a 12-year-old. And like that, she still attends things like a little kid. She has ballet dances and stuff like that. Everybody treats her like a little girl. She acts like a little girl. She talks like a little girl. But she's a century old, so she's a very complex character who's trapped in a child's body and acts like a child, and who has daddy issues. Like her dad's neglectful and always with the business, but she still loves him and everything, even though he abandons her a lot for the sake of his business. And she loves him to the point where if you screw with that business, she will get revenge on you. Like she is the mastermind behind this entire movie who set everything in motion because she just wanted revenge on these people who screwed with her daddy's business and everything. And it's just like crazy and stuff. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, I highly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime right now. I don't know why it's not on Peacock anymore. But this movie, while not really scary, because once you know the plot, you're not really scared. You're just in it for the thrills and the rides and stuff like that, you know? And they really screwed the marketing up with this movie. Like they screwed you don't reveal everything in the trailer, especially the main twist. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.